Hi, my name is Dr. Ramsey, and I'm currently working on a project that examines two non-American women who immigrated to the United States in the 1960s to attend medical school and then patriated by the 1970s, and of course had practices here in this country. As most of you are aware, scientific history is a relatively new subfield of history and is rather interdisciplinary when done from a humane perspective. In other words, it's not just a chronology of accumulated scientific facts, but the story of how medicine or science or technology unfolds or unfolded. And because that field has been significantly underserved and because society is becoming more technologized, we're beginning to understand just how important it is to chronicle that history. With that in mind, this particular project focuses on medicine and the idea of do no harm that we have as an ethical guideline in the medical community in the United States. And we impose the question, what happens when women from outside of the United States under these brain drain programs are recruited to come here with the incentive of, for example, citizenship and then remain? And how does that affect them coming from a foreign culture, being women in STEM during the height of the modern feminist movement? How did these things affect the way they practice, their understanding of medical ethics, maybe even the cognitive dissonance that they experienced in whatever culture they're trying to maintain in their homes, compared to the culture of the society, compared to, for example, the culture of their working environment. And in examining two specific renowned physicians in neuroscience and cardiac surgery, we begin to see the unique experiences, not just in terms of their talent and intellect and their contributions to medical science, but also as human beings, as new Americans, as immigrants. And we begin to appreciate then, this is what I anticipate being able to examine, the multifacetedness of their experience, and even at times the duality of that experience, and how that might influence their work or their concept of medical ethics. These are questions that we hope to address and answer. I think that it's really important to remember that when we look at the arc of world history, not just American history, we have the story of women told not very often, and we have to seek to mitigate that lack of understanding. And in particular, we have also not addressed the field of science from a humane perspective. And in the last 15 years or so, we're beginning to see that shift, that call to course correct, not only the omission of women, but the investigation of areas that have previously been underserved. And so as I investigate the lives of these two particular women and their work and their contributions and their personal lives and their home lives, what we hope to do is be able to answer some of those questions and look at the dualities of that experience. And because of the intersectional nature of this particular project, of course, we've looked at the historiographies of cultural history, sociological history, medical scientific history, and of course, women's history. And those historiographies inform the way that we approach this project and the way that I plan essentially to build the narrative of the contributions of these women.